that your bank... What if everything you've been told about wealth is a lie? We've been conditioned to believe that success is measured in numbers, that your bank balance defines your value, that without money, you're worth less. But what if true wealth has nothing to do with money? What if the real key to financial success isn't in what you earn, but in how you see yourself? This is where everything changes. Welcome to Thresholds of Thought, where we break down the illusions of wealth, challenge the status quo, and redefine what it means to be truly rich. Because the moment you stop letting money define you is the moment you start attracting real abundance. Stay with me. This is about to get deep. If I asked you right now, how much are you worth? What's the first thing that comes to mind? Your salary? Your savings? The number in your bank account? Let me stop you right there. Because if that's your answer, you've been lied to. We live in a world where numbers define everything. Your credit score, your paycheck, your net worth. Society has convinced you that more money means more value, more success, more respect. I told you that your bank balance has nothing to do with your true, that no matter how much or how little is in your account right now, you are enough. Sounds crazy? Keep watching. Because in the next 2 hours, I'm going to show you why money is just a tool, not your identity. And by the end of this video, you'll walk away with a new perspective on wealth, success, and what it truly means to be rich. Before we continue, let me ask you again, how much are you really? Let's talk about it. Chapter 1. Problem: Why this matters. We live in a world where numbers dictate our worth. From the moment we start aiming, society conditions us to believe that our value as individuals is tied to our financial status. A high salary means success. A growing bank balance means security. A low credit score or a struggling business? That means failure. This mindset isn't just flawed, it's dangerous. It creates a cycle of stress, self-doubt, and an endless pursuit of more without ever feeling truly fulfilled. Think about it. When was the last time you checked your bank account and felt at peace? Not just relief that you could pay your bills, but true peace, where you felt whole regardless of the number on the screen? For most people, that feeling never comes. Because money, by its very nature, fluctuates. One moment you feel stable, the next you're hit with an unexpected expense. One day you're earning well, the next you're laid off. And if your identity is wrapped up in those numbers, your sense of self-worth rides the same roller coaster. This isn't just about personal stress. It's about how we see each other. Society judges people by their wealth. Someone driving a luxury car is assumed to be more successful than someone taking public transport. A person living in a mansion is admired, while someone in a small apartment might be overlooked. But what if I told you that some of the wealthiest people you admire have, at times, felt completely worthless? That billionaires have battled depression, that CEOs have questioned their own success, and that some of the happiest people in the world have little more than the clothes on their back? The problem is we've been trained to chase the wrong kind of wealth. We measure success in dollars instead of depth. We ask, how much do you make, instead of how much do you matter? And this conditioning starts early. From childhood, we see our parents stressed about bills. We hear phrases like, money doesn't grow on trees and we can't afford that. We grow up believing that struggle equals failure and wealth equals worthiness. So when we become adults, we hustle not just to survive, but to prove our value. But here's the dangerous part. No number will ever feel like enough. If you make $50,000, you want $100,000. When you reach $100,000, you want $500,000. Millionaires want to become billionaires. There's always another level, another target, another reason to feel like you haven't made it yet. And even when you do hit that financial goal, it often doesn't bring the happiness you expected. You might feel relief, maybe a moment of excitement, but does it change how you see yourself? Or do you immediately start worrying about keeping that money, growing it, or not losing it? Let's be real, money is important. It provides comfort, security, and freedom, but it does not provide meaning. It does not define your impact, your intelligence, or your character. Some of the kindest, most brilliant, and most influential people in history never made millions, yet they changed the world. Think about teachers, scientists, artists, and activists. Their worth wasn't in their wallets, it was in their contribution. And yet, we let money dictate our mental health. Studies show that financial stress is one of the leading causes of anxiety, depression, and even suicide. People stay in toxic jobs because they fear financial instability. They avoid pursuing their passions because it might not pay enough. They compare themselves to others, assuming that a bigger paycheck means a better life. But here's something no one tells you. Money only solves money problems. It won't fix your self-esteem. It won't heal your relationships. It won't erase childhood wounds or give you a sense of purpose. That's why even some of the wealthiest people still feel lost. They've mastered making money, but they haven't mastered making meaning. And if you don't learn to separate your self-worth from your net worth, you'll fall into the same trap, thinking that financial success will finally make you feel like enough. But if money doesn't define worth, what does? That's the real question. And answering it is the first step in shifting your entire mindset around wealth, identity, and success. Because when you understand that your bank account is not your worth, you gain something that money can't buy: freedom. The freedom to define yourself beyond numbers. The freedom to pursue passions that fulfill you, not just ones that pay well. The freedom to build wealth on your terms without letting it define you. But before we talk about that shift, let's break down how we got here. Why do we believe this lie in the first place? Why do we tie our identity to money? And most importantly, how do we break free? Stay with me, because this is where everything changes. Money. It's the invisible scoreboard that society uses to measure our worth. It dictates how much respect we get, how much freedom we have, and even how we see ourselves. But have you ever stopped to ask, who decided this? Who decided that a person making 6 figures is more valuable than a single parent working 2 jobs? Who created the illusion that wealth equals success and that without it, you're failing? The truth is, this belief system didn't happen by accident. It was carefully built over generations, fueled by a system that profits from your insecurity. The more you believe that you're not enough without money, the harder you'll work, the more you'll spend, and the deeper you'll fall into the never-ending chase for more. Emotional toll of financial comparison. Have you ever scrolled through social media and felt a pang of jealousy seeing someone's luxury vacation, their dream car, or their designer clothes? You're not alone. Studies show that social comparison, especially when it comes to wealth, triggers feelings of inadequacy, anxiety, and even depression. And yet most of what we see is an illusion. The millionaire entrepreneur flashing his Rolex? He might be drowning in debt. The influencer showing off her lavish lifestyle? She might be leasing everything for show. The friend who always seems to have money, they might be struggling behind closed doors. But the problem isn't just that people fake wealth, it's that we tie our self-worth to the idea of having more. We measure our value based on what we lack instead of what we already have, and this creates a toxic cycle of never feeling good enough. The fear of financial insecurity. Let's talk about fear. Fear of being broke, fear of losing everything, fear of not having enough. This fear is real, and for many, it's not just emotional, it's survival. People are trapped in jobs they hate because they're afraid of financial instability. They sacrifice their dreams because chasing money feels safer than chasing passion. They settle for less, not because they want to, but because society tells them that security is more important than fulfillment. But here's where it gets dangerous. Even when people achieve financial stability, the fear doesn't go away. Have you ever noticed that wealthy people still stress about money? That even those with millions worry about losing it, growing it, or keeping up with someone richer? That's because the fear isn't about money itself, it's about identity. When your worth is tied to your wealth, losing money feels like losing yourself. And that's why so many people, no matter how much they earn, never feel truly secure. They don't just fear being broke, they fear being seen as broke. And that fear controls their decisions, their happiness, and their peace of mind. The illusion of financial freedom. We've been sold a dream: work hard, make money, achieve financial freedom. But let's be honest, how many people actually feel free? People with high salaries feel trapped by their lifestyle expenses. Entrepreneurs making 6 figures feel pressure to scale and make more. Even billionaires worry about their financial legacy, taxes, and competition. Because real freedom isn't about how much money you make, it's about how much power money has over you. If your happiness is dependent on a number, you'll never be free. If your identity is wrapped up in wealth, you'll never feel whole. If your self-worth is determined by financial success, you'll always feel like you have something to prove. And that's why this conversation matters. Because until you separate your self-worth from your net worth, no amount of money will ever make you feel truly rich. The mental and emotional price of wealth obsession. Here's a hard truth. Money can be a tool for success, but it can also be a trap about the cost, not just financially, but emotionally, of tying your value to anxiety, constantly worrying about money, checking your balance, stressing over your financial future, relationships, strained friendships and marriages due to financial stress, resentment, or comparison, self-esteem, feeling like a failure when you're not earning enough, even if you're doing meaningful work, paralysis, avoiding risks, passions, or opportunities because you're afraid of financial instability. And let's not forget the burnout, the constant grind culture that convinces people that rest is laziness, that hustling is the only path to success, and that financial status determines your worth. But here's the problem. What happens when you reach that goal and still don't feel enough? Because that's the reality for many high achievers. They work tirelessly to hit a financial milestone, expecting it to bring happiness. But when they finally get there, the excitement is temporary, the number doesn't fill the void, and instead of feeling satisfied, they set a new goal: more money, more success, more validation, and the cycle continues. Breaking the cycle, why this needs to change. If there's one thing I want you to take away from this, it's this. You are not your bank balance. You are not your paycheck. You are not your debt. Your worth is in your character, your impact, your relationships, your growth. Money can be a tool to build a better life, but it should never define who you are. And the moment you truly believe that, you start to reclaim your power. Because when you stop letting money control your identity, you start making different choices. You stop chasing status and start chasing fulfillment. You stop making decisions from fear and start making them from purpose. You stop measuring success in dollars and start measuring it in meaning. I know what you're thinking. That's easy to say, but how do I actually shift? That's exactly what we're about to dive into. Because knowing that money doesn't define you is one thing, but rewiring your mind to truly believe it, that's the real work. And in the next section, we're going to break it all down step by step. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share will change the way you see wealth forever. I remember the first time I looked at my bank account and felt shame. I was in my 20s, working hard, doing everything I was supposed to do. I had a steady job, I was paying my bills, and I was saving at least. I thought I was. But one day I checked my balance, and instead of feeling accomplished, I felt small. The number staring back at me didn't match what I thought success should look like. I had friends who were traveling the world, buying their first homes, investing in stocks, and seemingly moving ahead in life. And me, I was just getting by. And that's when the voice in my head started. You're behind. You should be making more by now. Why aren't you more successful? I didn't just feel financially insecure. I felt personally inadequate. Because, in my mind, money wasn't just about survival. It was about validation. I started overworking, saying yes to everything, chasing higher paychecks. Not because I loved the work, but because I thought more money would fix me. That if I could just reach a certain number, I'd finally feel worthy. Spoiler alert, that number never came. Or rather, it came, but it didn't do what I thought it would. The first time I made 6 figures, I felt excited, for about a week. Then I moved the goalpost. Okay, but now I need to save more. Then I reached a new milestone, and instead of feeling proud, I thought, but I'm still not as successful as them. No matter how much I earned, I still felt like I wasn't enough. And that's when I realized something life-changing. Target. If you tie your worth to it, you. Because the real problem wasn't my bank account, it was my beliefs. I had been conditioned to think that success was a number, that wealth defined identity, and that financial growth was the same as personal growth. It wasn't until I rewired my mindset that things started to change. I stopped measuring my value in dollars and started measuring it in impact. I stopped working just to make more and started working to create something meaningful. And ironically, that's when money started flowing easier than ever. Because when you chase self-worth over net worth, success follows, not the other way around. And if you're stuck in that cycle of thinking money will finally make you feel enough, I get it. I've been there. But I promise you this, your worth has nothing to do with your wallet. Looking back, I realize now that the real transformation wasn't in my bank account. It was in my mindset. I stopped seeing money as the measure of my worth and started treating it as a tool. A tool to build the life I wanted. A tool to create freedom, not fear. A tool to serve me, instead of me serving it. And when that shift happened, everything changed. I started making decisions based on fulfillment, not financial pressure. I focused on impact, not income. And here's what's wild. The moment I stopped chasing money for validation, it actually started coming to me with ease. Because I was no longer acting from a place of scarcity. I wasn't making desperate moves. I wasn't burning myself out trying to prove something to the world. I was simply living in alignment, choosing work that fulfilled me, and trusting that wealth would follow, not define me. And the truth is, this shift is available to you too. You don't have to wait until you hit a certain income. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. You don't have to let numbers dictate your happiness. Because your worth has never been in your wallet. It's in your character, It's in your kindness. It's in the way you show up for yourself and others. It's in the impact you create and the legacy you build. And once you truly understand that, you'll finally be free, not just financially, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So next time you check your bank account, remember this. That number does not define you. You were enough before the money. You are enough now, and you will always be enough. That's the real wealth identity. And when you own that truth, wealth, in all forms, will follow. Now, let's talk about how you can start living this truth every day. Because your journey to real financial freedom, the kind that isn't just about money, but about peace, begins now. The shift, introducing wealth identity. For most of our lives, we've been taught that wealth is about numbers, the money in your bank account, the value of your assets, the size of your paycheck. What if wealth was something you became, not something you collected? This is the core idea behind the wealth identity. Wealth isn't about having money. It's about seeing yourself as someone who attracts abundance in all forms, financially, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. It's about shifting from a scarcity mindset, where you feel like you're always behind, to an abundance mindset, where you believe that success, resources, and opportunities are always available to you. Because here's the truth. Money follows identity. Think about it. The people who are truly financially successful, those who sustain wealth, who grow it, who use it to create impact, don't see money as the end goal. They see it as a byproduct of who they are. They don't chase money out of fear or desperation. They become the kind of people who naturally attract it. This is the shift. Instead of saying, I need to make more money to be successful, you start saying, I am already successful, and money will flow as a result of who I am becoming. Instead of thinking, I'll be happy once I hit this financial goal, you think, happiness is my foundation, and wealth will grow from that. Instead of seeing money as a source of stress, you start seeing it as a tool that works for you, rather than something you are constantly working for. And when this happens, everything changes. How the wealth identity works. The wealth identity is built on 3 core beliefs. 1. Money is a reflection of mindset. If you believe wealth is scarce, you will struggle to hold on to it. If you believe wealth is abundant, you will always find opportunities to create it. 2. Self-worth creates net worth. If you feel unworthy of success, you will subconsciously block financial growth. If you believe in your value, money will naturally flow towards you. Wealth isn't about how much you have, it's about how much you believe you are capable of creating. 3. Wealth is holistic, not just financial. True wealth is having time freedom, mental peace, strong relationships, and a sense of purpose. Money alone doesn't make you rich, your life does. The wealthiest people aren't the ones with the most money, they're the ones who feel the most fulfilled. This is where the shift begins, because once you embrace the wealth identity, money stops being something you chase. It becomes something you attract. And in the next section, I'm going to show you exactly how to build this new identity so that wealth isn't just something you wish for, but something you embody. When you embrace the wealth identity, something profound happens. Money stops being something you chase and becomes something you attract. Think about the people who always seem to have financial success, no matter what happens in the economy. Even when they lose money, they find a way to bounce back. Even when things look uncertain, they stay confident. What makes them different? It's not luck. It's not just intelligence. It's who they believe they are. They see themselves as creators of wealth, not victims of circumstance. They don't live in fear of losing money because they trust in their ability to generate it again. They don't let financial setbacks define them because their identity is rooted in abundance, not scarcity. And the best part? This mindset is something you can develop too. Right now, you might be thinking, that sounds great, but how do I actually start seeing myself as wealthy when my bank account says otherwise? Exactly what we're about to break down. Step 1. Detach your identity from your current financial situation. Your current bank balance is just a snapshot in time. It does not define your future. It does not define your potential. And most importantly, it does not define you. If you see yourself as broke, you will act like someone who is broke, hesitant, fearful, and operating from scarcity. But if you shift your perspective and start seeing yourself as a wealth creator, your actions will follow. You will look for opportunities. You will trust in your ability to grow. You will make different choices. Exercise. Every time you catch yourself thinking, I can't afford this, shift it to how can I afford this? This small change rewires your brain to focus on possibility, not limitation. Step 2. Redefine what wealth means to you. What does wealth actually look like for you? Is it just a number? Or is it a feeling? For some, wealth means having the freedom to travel without worrying about money. For others, it means having time to spend with family instead of working long hours. For some, it's about having enough to give back, support causes, and make a difference. If you only measure wealth by dollars, you'll always feel like you don't have enough. But when you define wealth by how it feels, you start realizing that you may already be wealthier than you think. Exercise. Write down 5 things that make you feel abundant right now. Maybe it's your health, your skills, your relationships, or your ability to create. Recognizing existing wealth opens the door for more to flow in. Step 3. Align your actions with the wealth identity. Your actions must match your new mindset. If you believe you are someone who attracts wealth, you have to act like it. That doesn't mean spending recklessly. It means making empowered financial decisions. Step 4. Shift from earning money to creating wealth. Most people see money as something they have to earn. They trade their time for it. They work harder for it. They feel stuck in a cycle where their income is limited by how many hours they can work. But wealthy people don't just earn money, they create it. They understand that wealth is built through value creation. Instead of asking, how can I make more money? They ask, how can I create more value? Because the more value you bring to the world, the more wealth naturally flows to you. Exercise. List 3 skills, ideas, or talents you have that could generate income beyond your current job. When you start seeing yourself as a creator of wealth, opportunities begin to appear where you never noticed them before. Step 5. Trust in your financial growth. Scarcity makes you feel like you're always behind. The wealth identity reminds you that you are always growing. Your financial situation today is not your final destination. If you are actively learning, evolving, and making intentional choices, you are already on the path to wealth. You don't have to stress about when you'll get there. You just have to keep moving forward. Reminder, the wealth identity isn't about pretending you're rich. It's about seeing yourself as someone who is always increasing in value. Because when you truly believe that, wealth will follow. Final thought, own your wealth identity today. Wealth is not something you wait for. It's not something that happens to lucky people. It's something you step into. Starting today, you are no longer someone who wants to be rich. You are already wealthy in mindset, in potential, and in your ability to create. And when you truly own that, the money follows. The opportunities appear. The stress fades. This is the shift. This is the wealth identity. Now, let's build it together. The framework, actionable steps. Wealth is not just about money. It's about how you interact with money, how you think about it, and the choices you make every day. Most people believe that financial success is about earning more, but the truth is, without the right mindset and strategy, even the highest income can disappear. That's why true wealth building starts with transforming the way you see and handle money. If you continue to approach money with fear, scarcity, and hesitation, you will always feel like you're struggling, no matter how much you make. But the moment you shift into a mindset of control, abundance, and intentional decision-making, you begin to create wealth rather than just earning and spending. It's time to stop reacting to your financial situation and start shaping it. The first step is becoming fully aware of where your money is going and what it's doing for you. Most people avoid looking at their bank accounts out of fear, but avoiding your finances only makes things worse. Wealthy people understand their numbers. They track their income, their expenses, their savings, and their investments. Not because they're obsessed with money, but because they see money as a tool that needs to be managed, not feared. When you take control of your finances, you take control of your life. You move from uncertainty to clarity, from stress to strategy. You stop hoping things will get better and start making them better. One of the biggest mistakes people make is relying solely on one source of income. A single paycheck, no matter how big, can disappear overnight. The truly wealthy don't just work for money, they make their money work for them. They create multiple income streams, investments, businesses, real estate, side hustles, so that even if one source dries up, others continue to flow. This is how financial security is built, not by working harder and harder, but by working smarter. It's about setting up systems that generate wealth for you, even when you're not actively working. Another critical shift is moving from a consumer mindset to a creator mindset. Most people focus on spending money rather than growing it. They buy things to impress others, to fill emotional voids, or because they feel they deserve it after working hard. But wealthy individuals think differently. They ask, how can I use this money to create more value? They invest in themselves, in their skills, in assets that grow over time. They understand that every financial decision either brings them closer to freedom or keeps them trapped in a cycle of working just to spend. Fear keeps many people from taking financial risks, but calculated risk is the foundation of wealth. The difference between those who struggle and those who succeed isn't luck, It's the willingness to take action despite uncertainty. Every successful entrepreneur, investor, and wealth builder has faced moments of doubt, moments where they didn't know if their decision would pay off. But they acted anyway. They took informed risks, learned from their mistakes, and kept moving forward. If you let fear control your financial decisions, you will always play small, always hesitate, and always wonder what could have been. Wealth is also about the company you keep. If you are surrounded by people who complain about money, who believe that financial success is only for the lucky, who reinforce scarcity thinking, their mindset will inevitably influence yours. On the other hand, when you surround yourself with people who talk about investments, growth, opportunities, and financial intelligence, you start to see what's possible. You absorb their habits, their confidence, their way of thinking. Success leaves clues, and being around wealth-minded individuals accelerates your journey in ways you can't even imagine. One of the biggest signs of financial intelligence is knowing when to say no. No to unnecessary spending. No to bad investments. No to anything that drains your resources without bringing value in return. Many people stay broke because they can't resist short-term gratification. They spend impulsively, thinking they'll figure things out later, but later never comes. The wealthiest people, however, understand delayed gratification. They make short-term sacrifices for long-term gains. They focus on building assets now so they can enjoy freedom later. They don't let temporary pleasures get in the way of lasting financial success. The relationship between wealth and time is something most people overlook. Money is not the most valuable resource, time is. And yet, people trade their time for money without thinking about how to break free from that cycle. The wealthy understand that money can always be made, but time cannot be replaced. That's why they prioritize financial strategies that free up their time, investing in passive income sources, automating their finances, and creating scalable income rather than relying solely on active work. The ultimate goal of wealth isn't just to have money, it's to have freedom. No matter where you are financially, the key is to start now. Some people wait until they have more money to invest, to budget, to educate themselves on finances. But waiting is just another form of avoidance. The sooner you take action, the sooner you start building momentum. You don't have to be rich to start investing. You don't have to have everything figured out to start learning. You just have to be willing to take the first step. Wealth isn't about where you are, it's about where you're going. And every financial decision you make today is shaping that future. The truth is, most people won't do this work. They will hear these ideas, feel inspired for a moment, and then go back to their old habits. But those who take this seriously, who commit to making these changes, who take control of their financial future, those are the ones who build true wealth. The choice is yours. You can continue living in financial stress, always feeling behind, always wondering why nothing changes. Or you can decide right now that your financial reality is something you create, not something you're stuck with. Because the moment you step into that mindset, the moment you claim your wealth identity, everything begins to shift. Empowerment, call to action. Right now you are standing at a crossroads. You can choose to continue seeing wealth as something outside of you, something that's hard to get, something reserved for other people, something that determines your worth. Or you can make a decision to shift, a decision to step into your wealth identity and start building the financial life you deserve. Because here's the truth. No one is coming to save you. No magic moment is going to happen where suddenly everything just falls into place. Wealth is not something that happens to you, it's something you create. It doesn't matter where you're starting from. It doesn't matter what mistakes you've made in the past. It doesn't matter if you've struggled with money your whole life. What matters is who you choose to become today. This is the moment where everything changes if you let it. Starting now, you stop making financial decisions based on fear. You stop telling yourself that wealth is out of reach. You stop looking at your bank account with shame as if a number on a screen defines you. It doesn't. It never has, and it never will. From this point forward, you commit to thinking, acting, and moving through life like someone who attracts wealth effortlessly. Because when you shift your identity, money, opportunities, and success will naturally follow. This isn't about luck. It's not about overnight success. It's about becoming the kind of person who expects wealth, attracts wealth, and builds wealth, because that's simply who they are. And right now, you have a choice. You can close this video, go back to your usual routine, and keep telling yourself that you'll start someday. Or you can decide that today is the day you take control. Decide that you will no longer let money define you. Decide that you will no longer operate from scarcity. Decide that you will own your worth, your power, and your ability to create wealth on your own terms. This is your moment. This is the shift. And once you step into it, there's no going back. Are you ready? Because your wealth identity is waiting. It's time to claim it. This isn't just about money. This is about how you see yourself. If you still view wealth as something distant, something that only happens to lucky people, something that isn't yours to claim, then you will continue living in financial limitation. But the moment you decide that wealth is already a part of you, that you are already someone capable of attracting and growing money, that your worth has never been tied to a dollar amount, everything begins to shift. The world reflects back what you believe about yourself. If you believe you are a person who struggles with money, that will be your reality. But if you start believing, truly believing, that you are someone who is building wealth, someone who takes control of their financial future, someone who is powerful and capable of growth, then the actions, the opportunities, and the success will naturally align with that identity. This isn't just mindset work, it's identity work. Because the way you see yourself determines how you show up in the world. Think about the wealthiest people in the world. They don't operate from fear. They don't hesitate when it comes to making bold financial moves. They don't shrink back when opportunities arise. That's not because they were born with something special. It's because they built a wealth identity long before the money showed up. And now it's your turn to do the same. Start by making different choices. Stop seeing money as something stressful and start seeing it as a tool that works for you. Stop making decisions based on lack and start making them based on growth. Stop believing you are behind and start understanding that you are exactly where you need to be. Because from this point forward, you are stepping into wealth. You are no longer a person who wants to be financially successful. You are already someone who expects success. And when you expect it, when you truly own it, when you operate from that space of certainty, the world will rise to meet you. So now, the question is, what happens next? Because after everything we've talked about, you have two choices. You can walk away, let these words inspire you for a moment, and then go back to your old patterns. Or you can make the decision to start living differently, starting today. Wealth isn't about waiting for the perfect moment. It's about deciding that this, right now, is the moment. The moment you stop waiting, the moment you stop hesitating, the moment you take full ownership of your financial future. And once you do that, there is no limit to what you can create. The path is yours to walk, the future is yours to shape, and the wealth identity is already within you. It's time to claim it. Now go and build the life you were always meant to have.